right, the point of origin of this audible activity is right here. They didn't fly from any distance. They're already maintaining presence and immediately sounding helicopter activity as opposed to sounding as though they're coming from a distance and flying past. They're engaged in ongoing surveillance, remaining in a relevant position, and then flying over. This is audible activity, relevant positioning, and amplified audible activity. And they're monitoring what I'm reviewing on the phone. I'm looking at videos on YouTube about police officers, and then these demon-possessed police officers are crossing path, group stalking. All right, this is also federal stalking. It is currently 11:44 a.m. I want to be clear. The entity is maintaining presence right here. The audible activity while I'm inside of my office is such that you don't hear them flying from a distance and approaching. The amplification, it is already here. They're already here. I step out, they're already right here crossing path, okay? The entity is creating audible activity while they're at a great distance, flying in a circle like a demon, but yet I'm hearing it in the office. That's amplification. What they were doing right now is they were already here. Those demons are just sitting here in the sky space in a helicopter and immediately flying by, and that is the amplified sound as they are immediately present. Understand the difference, okay? They're monitoring what's going on my phone as well. The demon-possessed are engaging what is living. Marlena Davila is going to federal prison, all right? And she claims to have a brain issue. She doesn't have a problem with engaging in demonic behavioral patterns, group stalking together. Hi, this is Mesrop, who's still here group stalking. They're going to federal prison. This whole property is going to federal prison, but Mesrop is here acting in concert with the LAPD, who are engaging in surveillance using a helicopter. All right, and they're all reviewing what I'm reviewing on my phone, which is YouTube videos about police officers. And I was actually, if you want to know, well, you didn't ask, but I'm going to because I find it to be relevant. Anaheim and Corona police are at a standoff on the 91 freeway in Orange County. Costa Mesa police, Corona police, which is Riverside County, and I specifically documented Riverside County, where the entity was maintaining a light source directly over Harupa Valley Country Village apartments. There's no sun that's going to be over Alvarado Gardens at any time of day. There is no sun that's ever going to be over Alvarado Gardens while the light source is remaining. Where is it in that video? In March of 2021. It's not in Los Angeles. It remains over Economy Inn, where I was remaining, where the entity was rising and setting a sun, first of all. That's not the sun. That's the P.O.C, where Ontario PD are group stalking in helicopter with third-party group stalkers like this, who in your face group stalk and threaten your life. That's why she's going to federal prison. They're maintaining a light source at Economy Inn, and then from Economy Inn, where I would go to engage in property management for employment through a third-party company, and I'm also going to prosecute that company because they were sending me, I was contracted work, so they're group stalking me, and then I'm going to engage in work on behalf of that company who is group stalking as well. So I want to be clear, the entity is doing this in Riverside County, as I already captured it, and at Country Village Apartments, where the entity, this is in Harupa Valley, in Riverside County, and I documented the Riverside American Medical Response, the Riverside Fire Department, and the Riverside Police. They're group stalking while I'm on the job, and they are flying over the apartment complex that I'm working at. They are directly over my head in a helicopter. And what do you see directly over the top of my head in Harupa Valley, not sharing any sky space with Los Angeles, where you're looking at a sunrise and a sunset while I remain at the same property? And by sunrise and sunset, you've seen the documentation 6:45 in the morning in alignment to my living room window in the morning, and setting in alignment to the same apartment in the evening. Building 1806 is where I wake up in the morning, is where I go to sleep at night. And this is where you see the sunset in alignment to my same apartment. There is, based on that evidence, no sun that's going to be over Harupa Valley, which is exactly what I documented, however, in March of 2021, where the Riverside Police Department, which is speaking to what's going on in Riverside County, because you do not have a natural environment where I'm showing you what is on an ongoing, consistent basis. The entity is maintaining a systematic means of what is group stalking, and it includes Riverside County. Corona police are on the freeway, and you're looking at what's a very serious situation. Okay, they've got armored vehicles surrounding a blue vehicle, I believe it's like a Nissan Sentra. And the police are on both sides of this vehicle. I took a screenshot of it because what I want to show you is it's criminal summoning. Okay, so I want to be clear. There is no iteration of the pattern of conduct that makes it distinct from the criminal conduct that these agencies are engaging in. The LAPD can provide what is a documentation speaking to how many arrests that they've made, how many crimes that have been averted because of their investigations, how much drugs they've taken off the streets of Los Angeles. They can provide evidence all to that. But what they will not tell you about is the criminal system that they're engaging in. And the two are speaking to what is coexisting. stalking. And I want to be clear, the criminal system supersedes any sort of representation that you're engaging in legitimate business as a law enforcement agency. They are corrupt, and so are Riverside County and Orange County. They've been engaged in documented criminal activity. The Costa Mesa Police, which is in Orange County, engaged in group stalking me. The police officers who are demon possessed. Okay, they look hollow in their face while they were following me around driving in Orange County. And this is in 2018 when I am on the roads and the highways on Harbor Boulevard. And the Costa Mesa Police Department, they're pursuing me while an entity is keeping the light source over my head. And I'm driving on Harbor Boulevard. And even the police officers that one specific encounter that I recall, again, I didn't capture it on video or in images or anything, but I've already shown you, I don't have to make up anything about police stalking and about demon possession. The entity, this is Costa Mesa Police. This particular gentleman, he's driving next to me, and he goes out of his way to get up to eye shot, to drive at a level where I could see his face. And this demon possessed officer is staring at me with a blank look on his face while he is crossing path in the vehicle. Okay. And this is the entity that's also hostile, because as I became aware of what was happening by the state, every city that I was going to, which I was going from LA County to Orange County, I left San Bernardino County, aware of the fact that there was some weird situations. And so I relocated, started practicing law. And then I noticed that LAPD was group stalking. I started documenting everywhere that I went, and I noticed the pattern amongst the people. And then I noticed the pattern in the environment, and the entity is, the more that I'm noticing, the more hostile, the more aggressive the entity is getting. And so this is where I'm encountering in Orange County. This is Costa Mesa Police, and driving up to, in order to be within eye shot of, so I can see this person's face, and they look hollow. Okay. They look dead in the face. And by dead, I mean, this looks like somebody that does not have any brains and flesh. They look literally like a zombie. Okay. And he's staring at me while he's driving, which is called relevant positioning. He's group stalking the vehicle as a means of light activity. And again, before I realized, the entity is keeping a light source directly over my head while I'm in Orange County. Okay. This is the Orange County that you're seeing engaging in what is a legitimate appearance of all the resources that they need in order to protect the people, protect the public and themselves. I want to be clear. They are engaged in what is federal group stalking and monitoring, and it's in the entire state of California. Okay. And I want to make sure that you are understanding that. And they're literally engaged in surveillance. That helicopter didn't fly from any distance. It was already here, already loud. And immediately as I walk outside, and again, it's just as quick as this, I walk right outside and they're already here. They're group stalking. They were already here, engaged in ongoing surveillance, looking at what I'm looking at on my phone. Okay. So this is also, you're going to juxtapose that with the evidence showing how am I hearing the helicopter when it's at a great distance, flying in a circle like a demon. Okay, how can I hear that? That's how you understand what it's targeting. But I want to point that out to you because they're looking at what I'm looking at on my phone. And these demons get especially sensitive and hyperactive when I'm observing other officers who are engaged in the same criminal system. That's what that hyperactivity is about. Anaheim, which is Orange County, Riverside County, they're group stalkers. And they have access to armored vehicles. They have access to large weapons, which are a threat to the American citizens in this country. And what they want to show on the internet is their proper their substantiated use of these weapons, these resources, while something that is clearly a threat to the public. And I want to be clear, that's the people of the state inside of that blue Nissan Sentra. And it's all light activity and relevant positioning. And by the way, while I am an American citizen who is being subject to the criminal pattern of conduct, the entity engages in scenes just like what you see. And the entity would like to suggest that it's so important, that it's so dangerous. It's so extreme that they're bringing out armored vehicles, that the target individual is suffering from some paranoid schizophrenic, and they're imagining it, and that there is no basis for what the target individual is asserting. I want to let you know now, and the P.O.C. has already established it. There is no way that I can make up what it is that you just saw again. Okay, I can't make that up. I have no control over those circumstances. And not only that, not only is LAPD acting in conformity to the pattern of conduct, I have multiple police departments engaging in the same exact pattern of conduct in a very specific environment, which there is no way that I could make that aspect of the P.O.C. up. You are looking at what is an ongoing, let me be clear, the entire entity that exceeds Southern California. So in other words, I'm going to speak in the context that it is. The world is witnessing what I am exposing right now. This corruption exceeds California. And what is it that I'm referencing? I'm actually speaking to the demon possessed entity that seeks to maintain this system in a on a secret basis. The demon possessed, those serve Satan. They know exactly what's being exposed. And I want to be clear, what you're seeing on the news, what is being demonstrated before your eyes, before the public, they are seeking to maintain a narrative or create a narrative, which is also supposed to suggest that something else other than the P.O.C. is going on. Something else other than the P.O.C. Is establishing the fact that these police departments are, first of all, legitimate, that they're not corrupt, and that there are a basis for them to engage in what it is that they're engaging in. In other words, a function of their office. This is a legitimate traffic stop in the middle of the freeway requiring armored vehicles because somebody is brandishing a weapon, and you're looking at all the elements of monitoring. And by the way, outside of my evidence and show you what is a light source, you're looking at what is a cloudy sky over Orange County. Pay attention to what you've seen on the internet weeks before, months before, years before, because you will see years of documentation, because that's what it is. Well, I am showing you what is a light source over me for the last several years, and then you will see these same situations, and they're under the light source, and you can tell by the light activity, the shadow of the vehicles. The light source is right there while they're doing the exact same criminal system is underway. And these criminals that are part of these corrupt law enforcement agencies are engaging in what is exactly what you see in Orange County on the 91 freeway. And Anaheim police, they're group stalkers. Corona police, they're group stalkers, and they have access to armored weapons, and they are engaging in what is the elements of monitoring. They're group stalking at the same time when you are looking at the superficial veil where that criminal system is underway. And there you have light activity, relevant positioning, and ongoing audible activity. And you have a helicopter that's reporting the news to you. Okay, so I want to make sure that you are aware of what is occurring at the same time. The LAPD has more than one helicopter. They are engaged in devoted to 24-hour surveillance, remaining right here. Okay, at the drop of a dime, sounding helicopter activity. As soon as I'm laughing at them, calling them, they are stupid. This is foolish. You were caught by one person in the natural, but I want to be clear, the Lord Jesus is judging them. And they're going to be judged on a world scene with regard to, and it's going well beyond the LAPD. Okay, that's what's going on here, but through one person, okay? And when I laugh at them because it is foolish, because they've been given plenty of warnings, they did not take heed because they're so drunk with power, thinking that you're above the law, and not only that, think that you can come against the Lord Jesus, and you cannot. Okay, so I want to make sure that you understand that this is what I was reviewing on my phone, and these demons get very sensitive when I am on my phone reviewing and analyzing, because you can do it wherever you're at as well. We can look at the same things that are uploaded to YouTube, these news reports, these traffic situations. You can look at any sort of story that they put online and look at the weather. It's sunny. You can look at the light activity like the sun is directly above them. And then I'm documenting, what does the P.O.C. show you? That the sun is rising and setting at one address. It's not shared with wherever they're located. This is revealing what is the system that is underway. And so my bottom line is that this very serious situation that's on the 91 freeways where I believe it's at, you're looking at armored vehicles, you're looking at it. This is about as serious as it gets with regard to what is a law enforcement agency that are filled with a bunch of demon-possessed group stalkers that are engaged in secret criminal activity, okay, targeting American citizens, terrorism, wanting to maintain a serious face before the public. This entity is aware of what it is that I'm exposing, and they want to maintain a serious face before the public. This is serious conduct. This is the job of the police, law enforcement, and we're not corrupt. This is the reason why we have these resources. This is what we're engaging in. We have somebody that's threatening the lives of American citizens in this country, and we have the resources to protect them and ourselves. And I want to make sure that you understand that it is nothing other than the ongoing and futile effort, because the federal government that's looking at all of the pieces of the puzzle, not honing in on one aspect, that the established criminal, because the state is established as a criminal. So the criminal wants to, well, we would like to rebut, in other words. So let me put this within the arena of a federal prosecution and blowing the whistle on what is a matter of public corruption in the state. You have another police, two, Corona and Anaheim, providing what is, you're looking at the same time. I'm talking to the feds right now. Light activity, relevant positioning, and audible activity, they're monitoring. An American citizen that's subject to the criminal pattern of conduct, they are at the same time engaging in that criminal system. And on the surface, what are you looking at? A very serious situation where you're looking at who would be pulling out armored vehicles, who would be pulling out the dogs and stopping all of the traffic, the people of the state and the state that's engaged in group stalking. That's who. Okay, you're dealing with, let me be clear, 24-hour surveillance in a helicopter, that's very extreme. That's very extreme. Now, how desperate do you get when that whole state system is being exposed? Okay, the one that's sitting in that vehicle posing this threat, I want to let you know that's the people of the state. That's the people of the state. Now, I'm not sitting here suggesting that it's because of me specifically, Erica Spencer, and because of what I'm documenting today, the people of the state got into that vehicle, brandished a weapon. And this is what I'm letting you know is that the people of the state is a legal term with regard to what are the demon possessed that are in the state. And I want to let you know those are the ones that are out here committing crimes. Those are the ones that are out here brandishing weapons and stealing vehicles. It's not the target individuals. I'm going to let you know that right now. I don't have to know that person specifically. First of all, number one. Number two, these corrupt law enforcement agencies are simultaneously engaging in what is appearing on the surface to engage in what is the brave, courageous business of law enforcement agencies, putting their lives on the line, okay? Pulling out the armored vehicles and the dogs in order to protect the lives of the people of the state are the ones that you see lined up in traffic. Okay. And the target individual may or may not even be in that traffic line or living in relevant position or driving on the opposite side of the freeway, whatever the situation might be. And they're simultaneously subject to the P.O.C. There's not an exception. There is no point where, okay, we're going to stop the criminal system right now because we've got an actual situation over here. And so we're going to lawfully use these resources that we have. That's not how it works. Okay. And even beyond that, I want to let you know, I specifically have worked and been in Riverside County. Okay. And even before I documented the criminal pattern of conduct when I was working at Harupa Valley, they're group stalkers. And group stalking is demonic activity. They are demon possessed. They constitute these police departments and they have access. What I see in that video, what I on YouTube, and I took a screenshot of it, what I see are a corrupt agencies that have access to very serious, very heavy duty resources, which again, on this side of public exposure is appearing to serve the purposes of legitimate law enforcement agencies that are seeking to protect the public, do their job, and protect themselves. I want to let you know with regard to what is federal group stalking and monitoring and federal stalking, which is state surveillance, it's terrorism in the state of California, because it is in violation of your constitutional and human rights. It is a secret concealed system that is done in concert with the people of the state, everybody you see in traffic, but they're engaging in criminal conduct together. Okay. And we're outside of the P.O.C. They're doing it under the light source that before I pointed it out was hovering right above them. And you'll see that there's a history of evidence on YouTube. Okay. Everything that I'm saying, you can look at it yourself, everything that they upload, because it's not the sun, it's a specific environment. And that's even outside of California. Okay, so I'm speaking to, again, that's getting to the implications. In New York, any sort of traffic stop, and they've got the sun directly over them, and then you're going to compare that to what I documented. Pick a year, 2018, 2009. There is years of documentation of the P.O.C., the entity maintaining a light source directly over me. Even where it's a cloudy day, I captured the light source directly over me on March 1st, 2024, the documented evidence of showing from the beginning to the end of the day. That doesn't go away. So on March 2nd, when it's a cloudy day and you see a news report in New York of a traffic stop and the light source is directly over them in New York at any time of day, you're understanding what is the pattern of conduct. Because there's no sun that's going to be over them. So which one is it? Is this the natural environment? Or no, the P.O.C. is over here and this is the natural environment in New York. I'm letting you know about what's going on and you are able to observe it in the environment yourself. You can look at it routinely when you're looking at what's online, when you're looking at what's on TV. Okay, this isn't television, but I'm giving you an example. You can look at it yourself. You can witness it yourself. You can observe it yourself. Okay, so I want to point that out to you. There is no coexisting legitimacy and public corruption. They're group stalkers. And these group stalkers are engaging in a very serious traffic stop. And also the entity is aware of what's being exposed about it. And the entity is Anaheim Police. They're part of the entity. The entity is Corona Police. They're a part of the entity. And by the way, I've been in not Rancho. I have been in Rancho, but I meant to say I have been in Anaheim and lived in Orange County, lived in Orange County for a prolonged term. The entity was monitoring me when I went to Whittier Law School in Costa Mesa on Harbor Boulevard. Okay. And the entity is maintaining a light source even outside of working. In 2018, I returned where the entity is threatening my life and pursuing me from city to city to city, from county to county, San Bernardino County to Los Angeles County to Orange County. Okay, back to LA County. And the entity is maintaining this light source. And it's directly over my head as I'm going from places. I'm on the freeways, and the people of the state are engaging in an identical behavior. I don't know these people, and they're all engaging in the same identical behavioral pattern. And they also are exhibiting knowledge of the fact that they're being documented. These are demons. And they know what I'm doing on my communication devices. This is also what I specifically spoke to in my log of events, which is captured in October to November of 2018. Not only my documentation of what is group stalking, and federal stalking is specifically what I was referencing, but their cognizance. They were aware, and they exhibited in their behavior the fact that they were being documented. And then the entity increasingly grew in aggression the more that I documented. Then you have stalking in helicopters, okay, which the entity began doing in December of 2018, which is the Pomona Police Department, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. And they kept one of those large, what do you call it? Mobile homes, but it's not a mobile home. It was a police department maintaining one of those mobile home-like structures. They literally kept it on the street where I was sleeping in my car. They were literally engaged in surveillance. They stayed there. They kept their mobile home situation right in front of me in relevant position is what that was. And the entity would fly over my vehicle day and night in helicopter. And they kept a line of planes flying directly over my vehicle. And the entity was maintaining a light source. I have this documented. The light source is over me. The light source is directly over me, and I documented in writing. This entity stole my evidence when the Ontario Police Department stole my vehicle, which is the substance of the civil litigation, Erica Lorraine Spencer v. Bill and Wags. They stole evidence because I was writing out all of my documentation. I wrote out the date when they arrived in planes and helicopter over me. It was in Diamond Bar, California. Okay. The Pomona Police Department, the Walnut Police Department, which is the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, by the way, I've been documenting this entity, and the entity was maintaining a light source over me. And that's when they started stalking in helicopter in every single city I go to since then, including LA, now that I'm back here. And it's Providence that the LAPD is providing, because this LAPD is the one that started it. With regard, they engaged in such an obvious point of accusing me of something that they didn't have the evidence to substantiate. And that's when I knew, because there was already a pattern that I suspected of why are police always present everywhere that I go. And then you're talking about what is harassment in concert with, again, third party Tracy Banks, okay, who I live with. This was the state living in my apartment in Upland, California. I documented Upland Police. The light source is directly over my head. And then you're looking at the sun that's over people in New York, okay? These are the things that you can regularly observe on the internet. Okay, so I went around a little bit, but everything that I have evidence speaking to Riverside County, which is where Corona is, Temecula. They're group stalkers. The entity was maintaining a light source over me, an outright departure, because the sun is not over the property of Alvarado Gardens at any time of day while it's remaining. The sun is not maintaining some ubiquitous presence over all of us all day from the beginning to the end of the day. That's only the sky. Only the sky. Okay, and so the entity is engaged in ongoing state surveillance, and it is to the demise of the entire entity. And you're looking at the elements of monitoring while you're looking at these armored vehicles surrounding a third party who is brandishing a weapon on the freeway in Orange County. And you're looking at what is a cloudy day. But let me be clear, the elements of monitoring remain. That is an iteration of criminal summoning, because the criminal system is simultaneously underway. Okay, that's exactly what it looks like. And the entity goes to the extent to make it look so serious that the target individual is supposed to be so insignificant that what police department would pull out armored vehicles? Okay, what person is pulling out a gun just for funsies to engage in what is summoning the police on them? No one is suggesting that it's for fun. What I'm letting you know is that these are demons, and they act in concert with one another. And so while you are in the natural looking at a police officer who has in the midst of this traffic stop that's on the freeway that has interests that are opposed to what is the third party that's brandishing a weapon, who is subject to surrounding by these officers. All right. This is a scary situation when you're subject to that sort of approach by law enforcement. I'm letting you know that in the spirit, they're all on the same team. They're demons, and they are together monitoring. While in the natural, you're looking at what is a traffic stop, and these individuals have interests that are opposed to one another. The officer versus that defendant, or that, accused individual inside of that vehicle. That's how it looks on the surface. But I'm letting you know, when they're being pulled over, they're group stalking together. It's called criminal summoning. And so this is the reality, the spiritual reality that you were beforehand ignorant of. And I want to make sure that I document. It's 12:07 p.m. The entity amplifying helicopter activity again while they're listening to the truth that I speak. That's why. Do you understand that? Because I'm letting you know exactly what's going on. The entity is hostile and fearful, terrified of it at the same time. While they're stalking me in helicopters, they are terrified at the same time. Okay, so I want to make sure that you understand that. And that is a perfect example of what is the criminal system that remains underway, even while trying to maintain a very serious presentation to the public. We're pulling out our armored vehicles. We've got our weapons out. We're stopping traffic because this is such a serious situation here. We don't have any time for anything that the target individual is suggesting. Okay, this is all that you would, if someone wanted to present an argument, well, what about this situation here? I will analyze that whole situation for you. First of all elements are still present. And let's also recall the evidence of the same exact scenario where the light source is directly over them. This is before, again, Satan engages in conduct, which is to its own demise when it thinks it's getting away with something. So we're going to go back in time because this is what the entity does. A very highly corrupt and malicious entity it engages in what is this checker mind state. They're only thinking about it right now, but they weren't thinking about it. That's why I'm telling you, just go back a couple weeks. Just go back a couple weeks and you'll see evidence of what is the engineered environment. First of all, it's engineered because the elements of monitoring there. Light, activity, relevant positioning. But what I mean engineered, the light source directly over them. During any traffic case, you're looking at them reporting the news, the light source is right over them. You can even see, because I've seen it myself, when I did my own investigation of what was the death of somebody, and they were in like Louisiana somewhere, and I'm looking at the death. It was a rapper. That's what caught my attention, and I cannot unfortunately recall this young man's name, but he was killed. And I'm looking at the video that they played on the news. And on the news, the two assailants, they're running toward this third-party facilitating venue. Their shadow is enlarged in size. The light source is hovering right above them. The shadow of the vehicle, it is hallmark, okay? It is literally the pattern of conduct underway, but there's a murder that's occurring while the pattern of conduct is underway. And in the spiritual, what's actually going on, these are third parties and they are monitoring in concert with the state. And then you have all of the iteration of the P.O.C. and exactly what I told you. The people of the state that are reporting the news, they go to the scene of the crime. And literally, as I was doing my own little investigation of it, speaking to the consistency of the elements of monitoring and the malice with which an entity is engaging in monitoring. And this includes when somebody is murdered while that criminal system is underway. There's no genuine mystery about what happened or who did it. Okay. And even as the news was reported, I documented this, but this was on a website, so I may or may not have even held on to it. But and it was something that I captured on YouTube. Like I said, there's evidence all over that's already in the public about what I'm corroborating, what I'm showing you. There's no sun that's rising and setting at one address. And then you're going to look at what's going on in New York. Look at the news that they're reporting. Look at the news of what they're recording in LA. Okay. Channel 5, Channel 7. They're out on the light source remaining over my head, over my apartment all day. Okay. Setting an alignment to me. And then they have the immediacy showing the light source, not the sun, that's directly over their head. That's what those are the things that you're going to pay attention to. Okay. When they're in Texas, when they're up and Georgia, when they're in, like I stated, in Florida, in New York, you're looking at traffic stops, and then you're looking at how the police are handling. Look at the environment. It's the specific environment. And this is something that needs to always be a part of an analysis with regard to the conduct of these law enforcement agencies, the conduct of the state, because public corruption is very much a probable candidate with regard to what actually happened in whatever the situation is. And this is, again, needs to be necessarily within the ordinary analysis, especially with regard to, the suspects of, for example, a murder, a homicide, if you will, that I was looking into on my own. And not because I had time to, I was using it as a means of documenting what was going on at the Fontana Lewis Library. The light source was over me at the same time, 2 hours ahead from where I was in California on the same date. And I was speaking to the light source is over me at the Fontana Lewis Library, but you can see the light activity in this video that they showed on the news. The light source is right over them, that the two are not happening at the same time. This is P.O.C. And then you have the news anchor come around, and literally in the video, I was looking at flashing light moving across the building while she was reporting the news. That's engineered light, dynamic light, impossible light activity. And you're looking at an officer who's group stalking in the path. The light activity, the light source is over. And then later in the evening, they're still there and they're still reporting the news, and you're looking at the sunset that's at that same address. And then I'm reminding you, juxtaposing that to what's going on. And the light source is remaining over the Fontana Lewis Library all day. into the evening. I've already shown that. And that's exactly what I was providing analysis of. So, like I said, this is something that has to be ordinarily a part of the investigation of police departments, the investigation of courthouses, this matter of what is public corruption that's being exposed, and the short-sighted, corrupt entity, which is the character of Satan. Okay, the character of Satan is very much Satan is nothing other than a thug. You've been given a picture of somebody who's a thug, who is most likely my skin tone or not. But I want to let you know that's an intentional misrepresentation. Okay, a thug is somebody that's short-minded. They're short-sighted. They get away with whatever they can get away with at the drop of a dime. They're only thinking from one moment to the next. Okay, they're getting away with whatever it is that they think that they can get away with within their limited mind state. Okay, very much not thinking about the future and anybody assessing on a macro level that can establish a pattern while you're just going from step to step to step. There's somebody that's taking a greater picture at the whole, looking at it from a vantage point that's incorporating the whole picture. All right, and this is what a thug, a short, literally a step-by-step type of moment by moment. What can I get away with now? What can I get away with next? What can I get away with from that moment to that moment? I can't get away with anything. I'm going to duck and hide. Okay, that's a thug mentality, and that's what the demon-possessed are engaged in. And that's how you come up with the P.O.C. Okay, I'm surrounded by a bunch of ignoramuses. And not only that, then when they're surrounded by evidence, then they engage in what is revealing their mental illness. These are psychopaths. These are ticking time bombs. And they are the subject of what is organizing in public, and you're going to pay attention to the environment. You are aware of what's actually going on, and it intends to create a false narrative to you, supporting what are corrupt law enforcement agencies who have access to resources that are going to, in the future, be a threat to the safety and the well-being of American citizens. They are preparing for what is warfare against the ordinary American citizen. Okay, it's a threat to you, and it is not supported because you are looking at what's, the call for armored vehicles because somebody is brandishing a weapon. That somebody is the people of the state. And it's occurring in a specific environment, and it's not hidden because it's a cloudy day. Because all you have to do is pay attention to what happened a week earlier, what happened 2 weeks earlier, what happened a month ago. Pay attention to what's going on an ongoing basis. That's where you will see Satan in the details. You ever heard the devil is in the details? That's actually very true. Okay. And so I want to make sure that I speak to that. And that's what I found to be so profound. This is what I'm reviewing online. And the entity that is group stalking and engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet is very fearful of what it is that I'm going to speak to regarding other police departments. But let me reiterate what the P.O.C. has already established, what the entire state of California is engaged in. And I'm only limiting it to the state of California because that's where I live. Okay. Now, when I have crossed state lines and I've gone to West Virginia, let me be clear. The entity is I'm still subject to this criminal pattern of conduct in the state of West Virginia. And my presence in West Virginia is a matter of documentation. A criminal presence, elements of monitoring, federal stalking, documented. Okay. When I went to Las Vegas, Nevada, several times, they're monitoring in Nevada. Okay. And you know that because there's no sun that in any time of day is going to be over them in Nevada while it's remaining over my apartment. What you see setting in alignment to my bedroom window is not over anyone, nor did it at any time of day, the sun over anyone in Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada in particular, because that's where I would go. Okay. That's revealing to you, again, making the reality in case you want to disregard Satan. You don't think Satan is real. You don't think demon possession is real. You don't think that demonic activity is real. You can think what you want, but the P.O.C. is providing what is tangible evidence that no one and no court can reasonably disregard. Okay. And this is for anybody, whatever religious faith that you want to claim. It's actually not relevant, whatever you claim you want to believe or whatever you claim you want to, accept. Okay. Because in court, just like any other reasonable person, the tangible evidence is what we look at. That's what matters. The evidence. What can you prove? And the P.O.C. is proving what is criminal conduct that's occurring in a specific environment, which is how I have termed it. It's very specific with regard to what's entirely unnatural. Okay, so if you want to know the why, I'm going to let you know what's with regard to why is this unnatural environment there? What does this unnatural environment tell you? It tells you about the people. That's revealing what is demon possession. It tells you about demon possession is relevant to what's going on. Very malicious criminal activity is going on in the specific environment. All right. So anyway, I want to make sure that I go over that. And since the entity went through that flying over in helicopter while they're engaged in hovering surveillance, Dominic Choi's who's awaiting dismissal. And not only the LAPD, they're going to be removed. And they are criminals in the same way, and public corruption is underway by the same department that you see on YouTube. It was Fox 11. I mean, it could have been more than Fox 11, but I came across Fox 11 on YouTube, and this was a live stream, and it's showing Corona police. The Corona police are group stalkers. They're engaged in state surveillance. And you're also looking at what are group stalkers using armored vehicles and pulling over somebody. And the reason for using all of these resources is because this person has brandished a weapon. So I'm not here to contend against those facts. What I'm telling you is that the criminal pattern of conduct is ceaselessly underway. In addition to that, I've literally been to Riverside County. They're documented group stalkers. I've been in and been subject to the group stalking in Orange County, okay? And they are the same hollow, demon-possessed, group stalking, Satan-serving minions who also engaged in terrorism by helicopter, okay? And they also congregate in buildings, and they like to call them churches. That's not the genuine church. Not when you're serving Satan, and not when you are routinely engaging in criminal activity. That is not the behavior or the condition of those who truly know the Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, so it is currently 12:19 p.m. All of that is relevant context to what you just saw LAPD engaging in, which is the provision of evidence against the people of the state who you saw pacing. That's what Marina Davila is doing. She's exhibiting demon possession and a high level of malice. In doing so, you see that demon pacing around my apartment also in the engineer light where the demonic imitation of a sunlight is present. She's going to federal prison for that. Right? That impunity and malice is what you're exhibiting while you do so. While the entity is in the same video stalking in a helicopter. Now, this lawlessness that I'm capturing, this is what the people of the state are engaging in just willy-nilly. And by willy-nilly, what do I mean? I mean, they are providing just a wealth of evidence against themselves. And this is very serious crime. This is terrorism. And what they are doing so continuously, so freely, and with such impunity, the rest of the country is going to learn it is something you will never, ever want to be related. You don't even want it to be spoken of. You don't want anything to do with that because the federal government is going to come down so hard on that entity that does it. Okay? So on this side of that federal prosecutor, but like I said, in federal court, when you are given your sentences, when you are subject to all that punishment, no one is going to forget that impunity and no one is going to care about your tears on that day. No one. Okay, it is currently 12:20 p.m. and this is P.O.C.